Hello everyone, I'm in Kiambu neighborhood, which is loosely translated to a place of many rats. Ruaka town is only a few meters behind me, and in less than a minute we'll be hitting a small town, which I'm told that it has refused to give up its village ambience, despite being on Kiambu-Nairobi border. Well, I have just spotted a local celebrity by the name Gachari Karwaka, who went viral on the internet a few years ago. Despite being a popular sugarcane vendor, he's a witty man with a super high sense of humor, and he fondly tells his stories, especially to young men, of how he had accumulated millions of shillings at a young age, but lost his entire fortune for the love of beautiful girls and liquor. And he is never shy of thanking his wife for sticking around despite his nasty behaviors. That's enough with the old-timer shenanigans. Now let me quickly show you where we are here on the map. You can see the red dots, that's our destination, which is Gathanga Shopping Center. You can also see it's next to Muchada town, which we'll also be visiting later in the video. So let's have fun. We'll be hitting Gathanga Shopping Center in a few, after negotiating the few corners ahead. But before then, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to our YouTube channel, Village to Town, a channel that is dedicated to continue showcasing beautiful villages, towns, and cities across the continent of Africa. If you have not yet subscribed, kindly take your time to show some love and hit the red button and be blessed. We have already reached our destination. You can see the old town aura. I'm already fascinated. I feel like I'm stepping into the late 90s and early 2000s. The center is quite lively, and despite the old shopping center model, business is thriving, although the internal roads are in a bad state. And remember, the main road that leads from Ruaka to here was only tarmacked a few years ago. And remember, it's only 4.5 kilometers to Ruaka from here. And the fact that the residents have managed to maintain a village outlook despite the real estate rush that came with Ruaka, it's quite fascinating. Remember, other neighboring villages such as Muchatha and Denderu have already succumbed to urbanization. And of course, it's a matter of time before the shopping center is filled with story buildings and modern shopping malls. But so far, the village status continues. Also remember that RUNDA Estate, which is one of the most affluent neighborhoods in Nairobi, is not far away from here. Actually, it's about 2 kilometers away. As a bird flies, though I'm not sure whether there are roads connecting the two areas. I have also spotted a beautiful church in the middle of the town. You can see it on my right. And I read that it is PCEA Church, formerly the Church of Scotland. And that reminds me of a small town I visited here in Kiambu called Kigooco, where the first Church of Scotland was established in the 1800s. And trust you me, the first church the missionaries built is still standing. And the video is on this channel. You can watch it later. I can see a local pub across the road. It's closed. Probably patrons are waiting for 5 p.m. when all the bar owners open business according to the law. I'm really enjoying the small town, although we are about to get on the wrong side of the sun. That means that we might not be getting the best shots, but so far so good. Let's check the surrounding areas of the town. A quick search on the internet before getting here, I saw that there is a popular musician that comes from this area. Her name is Rachel Ngige, a sensational new school gospel artist. And remember that Gathanga village is in Muchatha ward, Kamba constituency in Kiambu County. And probably this is our last video on Kamba series, as we plan to move further north in the interior part of the country toward the Aberdares. And so make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss the beautiful villages and towns in our exciting journey to all interior parts of the country, which has just begun. We are back to the main road, which by the way ends a few meters ahead, and beyond that there is no tarmac, although the road goes all the way to Kanunga area on your way to Kiambu town, and it seems like the old town is growing along the road, which is a common thing, especially when a road is tarmacked. Let's quickly check the numbers as we drive through the village and see how people live. And as of 2019 general census, the total population was 9,100 people, and out of those 4,700 were men, while 4,400 were women. Well, I had to relook at the statistics and confirm again. as this is the first area since we started this journey where the number of men exceed that of their female counterparts. That is a very rare occurrence, as the number of women is always thought to be high. Of course, I'll be getting back to that issue in a minute, but I have just spotted the second church in the area, and it is one St. Joseph Catholic Church. And it seems like the church has a simple structure, but a very beautiful one. And it is a nice piece of architectural work, which I think it should be emulated by other churches. It's on a weekday, and probably no one is worshipping here. To be precise, it's on a Friday, 22nd March 2024, and the time is 12 p.m. It's a beautiful day. The sun is out, although it is affecting the quality of our shots. But all in all, the journey continues. Back to our numbers, and I'm still out by the 300 people gap between the two genders in favor of men. And I can't stop to wonder, where is the girl child? I further realized that this is not a unique issue with the sublocation, as after digging deeper into the Kenyan Bureau of Statistics data, I realized that the entire location by the name Mugithi had 14,872 men, while women were 14,847. This means that there is a small difference between the two genders, and to be precise, it is in favor of men, where there are 25 more men than women, meaning getting a female spouse here can be an issue. Well, everyone, my journey continues northward toward Kanunga, and I have just come across another beautiful church. And this one belongs to the Anglican Church, commonly referred to as the Church of England. And it seems like people in this area are fond of beautiful churches. They have really invested. Well, Christianity is the main religion in this part of the world. And although the road is not in a very nice state, I've just spotted a very beautiful coffee farm. Well, this has just reminded me about the good old days when coffee in this part of the world was the main thing. Huge coffee plantations were all over the county, and most residents would work there, mostly as farmhands and cherry pickers. And since the industry went down, mostly in the 80s and 90s, people had to look for other sources of income. So probably this is one of the few remaining big coffee plantations in the area, and it is well maintained. So what do you think, guys? Isn't it beautiful? Wow. Well, I'm cruising nicely along the busy Limuru Road, and I'm somewhere between Banana Hills and Ruaka Town. Actually, Karori Town is only 2 kilometers behind me, and I'm approaching a small town by the name of Muchada, but locals fondly call it Muchada. It is an interesting small town, as it is home to several legendary Kikuyu musicians, most of whom controlled the airwaves in the 60s, 70s, and the 90s. I'll be telling you about them in a few. As you can see, the town has really developed along the road. It has actually connected with Banana Hills on the north and Ruaka on the southern part. You can't really tell the difference or where they connect. But I want to take you to the old shopping center where the old Muchada was designated. And it is very easy to find such places, as it is the only place where you can find the old shopping center model, where shops are built on the edges and a common area is left in the middle, which was designated to work as a market or for any social activities such as crusades or any other form of communal gathering such as chiefs meeting. As you can see, we are in the old shopping center, and I first got here around the late 1990s and early 2000s, and trust you me, nothing has changed much, including these story buildings. They were built by then, and the only visible change is the fencing of the common area. Probably the government is building a modern market. These feeder roads were not tarmacked either, so it's a big change. It's an improvement, and it seems like the county government is interested in improving the standards of the old town. This tarmac does not go all the way to the residential area, as it extends only a few meters from the town, meaning that if you want to go all the way, it can be chaos depending on the weather. I want to check at the back street to see whether it's functional or it's dead. And remember, most back streets in these old towns around this area are dead. And so let's see whether Muchada is different. Well, once again, it seems like we are on the wrong side of the sun. And I can see a story building on my right, though it is not functional. The road is very bad, and it can be hectic for a small car to maneuver. It also seems like this is the local dump site, and so the back street is not functional. And the fact that there are a number of closed shops along the street shows that it was once functional. But it seems like most people have since moved their business along the highway, mostly to attract customers, since few people would risk coming this way to shop, especially at night. Remember, Muchada's demographic has changed drastically since Ruaka's real estate boom of the 2010s, as new school middle-class young men have moved in and they want nothing but quality and class. Administratively, remember that Muchada is one of the 5 wards in Kamba constituency, which is also home to Gathanga area, which we visited earlier. And I want to quickly give you small demographic facts about Muchada sublocation, which only covers around that small town area. And as of 2019, the area had a total population of 19,578 people, meaning there were 10,000 more people here than in Gathanga area. A difference which probably results from the fact that Muchada is along the tarmac road, while Gathanga is somehow interior. In terms of gender distribution, there were 9,613 men, while women were 9,962. This was a normal distribution, considering that the population aligned with the national average, where women tend to be slightly more than men. Before we hit the residential area and see how people live behind the town, let me tell you about a few legends that come from Muchada, and one of them is Paul Mutonga, alias Wanganangu. This guy is a super legend around the Mount Kenya region, and he is probably now around 90 years. He is blind and has been in the industry since the early 60s. Some of the greatest singles are remixed by Salim Jr., such as Gurumea Saba Saba, which means the great valleys of Saba Saba River, and Diareroe, which means I was not in the river, were originally composed and recorded by Wanganangu. Another legend from this area was one Francis Njuhiga, who was known by his stage name as Francis Rugweti. Rugweti was born in 1936 and died in 2001, aged 65 years, but his legacy is still celebrated in the region, as most of his original singles are still popular 23 years after his death. A good number of his songs were also redone by one Salim Jr., who converted both Wanganangu's and Rugweti's songs to a popular genre called Mugithi. This genre is still popular in Kenya, and it is highly associated with people from the Mount Kenya region. Well, this road takes you to the residential area, and as you can see, it's quite narrow. In fact, you have to wait for the oncoming traffic to pass so that you can proceed. And I want to take you to a beautiful middle-class estate by the name Guango, which once hit the headlines for all the wrong reasons in 2019, when the government unearthed that the mastermind of the 2019 Dusit terrorist attack in Nairobi lived in the estate for some time. That tells you the estate is quite exclusive and people live privately. You can probably see it on the background with the red tiled roofs. The estate was built in the 90s and it is developed on a hill. Behind the estate is the famous Gathanga area, which we visited earlier on. I want you to get the bigger picture of the area's geography. On my right, inside the fence, is the area cemetery. And I could not film since most Africans don't want anything to do with the dead, well, me included. So let's proceed to the estate. And as I told you, the road is quite narrow, probably as a result of encroachment. This is because land scarcity is a serious issue in this part of the country. And that brings us to our real estate segment, where we analyze land value and rent prices. Well, just like the surrounding areas, land here is quite expensive. Where to get a 50 by 100, you need not less than 10 million Kenya shillings, which is about $75,000. This is especially due to the neighboring Ruaka's effect, which saw land value in the area skyrocket, especially after the completion of the Nairobi Northern and Western bypasses, which passes through the area. And that's why most people prefer to rent houses rather than owning homes. Well, renting is not cheaper either, as to get a good studio apartment, you will need between 9,000 Kenya shillings and 15,000 Kenya shillings, depending on its location, while a modern 2-bedroom apartment costs between 25,000 Kenya shillings and 30,000, which is a bit expensive, especially when compared to other areas around Nairobi. Well, this is the beautiful gated estate, guys, and I want to give you a glimpse of the inside so that you can see how it looks. Tell me whether it is worth its salt and whether you'll consider living here. Well, the internal roads are not the best of the best, but they have tried to maintain the estate. Remember, it was built in the 90s, as I told you earlier. So these are not new houses. However, the security is very high, as you just can't get in here. Our security guards are stationed everywhere, and most of these houses have their own compound, and so privacy is guaranteed. Well, that's a great glimpse of the estate. I hope you are enjoying the view, although you are facing the sun. And that is Muchada for you. Please continue watching the video until we hit Rocker Town, which is only a few minutes away. And if you have watched the video this far, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, Village to Town. Join us as we start this journey of going around the country and showing all the beautiful places. Kindly like the video so that it can be recommended to as many people as possible. And don't forget to smash the notification bell so that every time we post, you will be among the first few people to be notified. Thank you.